It will hit you. Because it's a game changer. It will change your life. Your perspective on things is extremely important. And so I do believe your perspective can kill you. But let's look at the Word, because I want to give you some examples of perspective. And we're going to have the verses up here for you. And we're going to read from Numbers chapter 13. And remember, when the children of Israel, who knows how many of them, 2, 3, 4 million of them, was a lot of people, left Egypt. They go into the wilderness. God promised them a promised land, right? And so they're out there a little while, and God takes them to the edge, to the border of the promised land. Not too, I don't know the exact length of time, but it wasn't too long after they left Egypt. They kind of detoured some. This is not the 40 years. You got to understand, before they got sentenced to having to be out there for 40 years, they had an opportunity, but they had the wrong perspective. So they came to the edge of their promised land, and Moses sends spies, not the main body of people, over the border to spy out the land of promise. And indeed, you go back and read that chapter, I mean, they are seeing incredible things. They're seeing clusters of fruit that takes 2 people to carry the grapes, the clusters. I mean, it's a very fertile land. It's everything they've been dreaming of. But I want you to hear the report of the spies after they came back to Moses and the people. In Numbers 13, verse 27, then they, the spies, told him and said, "We went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey. And this is its fruit." So they had these clusters they're showing them. Impressive, you know. "Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there." Those were giants. "The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea along the banks of the Jordan." Then Caleb, he's one of the spies that went with them. He quiets the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it." Now see, that's his perspective. He went there. He saw it. These people aren't lying. They all agree. It's a land, it's great. But one group is just stuck on the fact there's a lot of opposition. And the other guy said, hey, forget that. We're well able. Look at verse 30. Then Caleb, verse 31. "But the men," or the other spies who had gone up with him, said, We're not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. Yep. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, come from the giants, and we," you got to remember this. Remember this for this sermon. Yeah. "We were like grasshoppers in our own sight." And so they were for those. "And so we were in their sight." You read the rest of the story. The people did not believe Caleb and Joshua. Joshua was one of the spies also that came back and was ready to go. They believed the bad report. They got so upset they wanted to kill Moses and griped and complained. It so grieved the heart of God that he said to that generation, "You will never enter the promised land." And so they had to wander around for 40 years. But everyone under the age of 20, everyone over the age of 20 would never go in. Everyone else would start a new generation, but he made a promise to Joshua and Caleb. "But you will go in." Now I'm going to tell you, no one's lying here. It's not that they're spouting a lie. There is a lie there. But not from the spies. They're telling the truth. It's a land full of milk and honey. It's just one group's perspective is different than the other ones. Yeah. And you see, that perspective caused a whole, it's infectious too. It caused millions of people to miss out on God's promises. So it's a game changer. Now I want you to see what happened with Caleb. Here's a man whose perspective was correct, and God said, you're good to go in. So I'm going to read from Joshua chapter 14. And I want you to hear about Caleb years later. And do the arithmetic too. It kind of spells it out for you. Joshua 14 verse 7. This is Caleb speaking. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. And I brought back word to him as it was in my heart. In other words, my perspective. Remember what he said, we're well able. Verse 8, nevertheless, my brethren who went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed the Lord my God. So Moses swore on that day, saying, surely the land where your foot has trodden shall be your inheritance and your children's forever, because you have wholly followed the Lord my God. He's talking to Caleb there. Verse 10. And now, behold, the Lord has kept me alive, as he said, these 45 years, ever since the Lord spoke this word to Moses while Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now here I am this day, 85 years old. So listen to the 85-year-old in verse 11. As yet, I'm as strong this day as on the day that Moses sent me. Just as my strength was then, so now is my strength for war, both for going out and for coming in. His perspective has not changed. Now people could say, dude, you're 85 years old. You know, the longer you live on this planet, you start learning a lot about perspectives. And you know, we get pretty set in what we believe. You know, because we're all right. Your perspective. Obviously, I'm right. Well, the older you get, you find out, well, no, not necessarily. You are right. Not always. 85 years old. And this man intends to go out there. And you can read on, and he did. He did. He went and claimed his inheritance. He never would have gotten it if he would have believed the lies or the perspectives, the lies of the enemy, I would say, but the perspectives of his other friends. Now let me tell you this. I'm proud to be able to say this. My mama has been with the Lord about 4 years now. She was married to my daddy for over 50 years. I was trying to remember how long it was. It was 50 to 52 years. Before he passed away about 23 years ago. And he passed away at 74. They were the same age. She was 74. When my mama was 74, she moved like a 50-year-old. I have pictures of her doing things. I'm like, my mama, you use the word here in a good way. My mama was a dancing fool. She loved to dance. And she danced as long as she could. When she was in her 70s, she was dancing. Now, she grieved a long time over my daddy. He was the love of her life. But she goes into her 80s, and she's still dancing. And my mama, 82, 83, 84, still dancing. She would go to the American Legion or some kind of community centers where they'd have senior dances. And my mama, she was brought up not necessarily in church, but she was around church a lot. And they came from a real Pentecostal holiness, so you don't do no dancing. I don't care if it's a Jewish dance, you just don't do that. So my mama always kind of carried that. Well, I was just glad she's exercised, and my mama, I just thought all 80-year-olds dance. That's just what I saw. And so I remember my mama was sitting me down, and my name's Ricky, by the way. So she never called me Rick, and I don't mind if you call me Ricky. Ricky's kind of soft anyway as I get older. Soft, it's warm and fuzzy. So it's okay if I'm Pastor Ricky. Anyway, as opposed to Pastor Rick. This is Pastor Ricky. So she'd sit me down. She'd go, now, Ricky. My mother was very country. I know y'all, that's where this comes from. But she was very country. Ricky, I don't want you, I'm just going to use my mama's words. She said, Ricky, I don't want you to think I'm out there just carousing around. I'm not dressing like, my mama's 80-something. I'm not dressing like a whore or anything. I'm not out there whoring around or anything. I'm just like, no, mine, it's okay. You know, why? That is such an awkward thing when your parents talk about stuff, you know. And she's saying that and using those words. I'm like, it's okay, Mom. Okay, I believe you. You swear then. I know it's not like young people today and all that stuff. I know, I get it. My wife's not here today. My wife loves it when my daughters come over. She starts kissing on me and all this stuff, and my daughters are like, yeah. It's just kind of strange. I don't know. But anyway, she would dance all through her 80s. She'd get, she called it primped up, and get in the car and go drive off by herself and go dancing. At 87 years old, 13 years after my daddy passed, my mama got remarried at 87 years old. 87. Your wife's clapping there, Jeff. You know, I've always told people in the hospital when I used to work with adults, I'd tell older women that, and they'd all think that was funny and good for her. And I'd say, well, maybe you'll get remarried. They go, no. I done that. Well, my mama wasn't done, so she was remarried again until she passed at the age of 92. Wow. And my mom really didn't get old till about 90. And so we would argue. We would argue about age as I look back at it. My mama used to feel like, you know, she was very defensive about her age. No one needed to know her age. Her hair was jet black, by the way. Just a miracle. And she added that miracle color, but she had a lot of makeup, lipstick, and she just embraced being young. She used to tell me, Ricky, you're as old as you want to be in your brain. Old as you want to be. She was like, what do you want me to do, Ricky? Just sit in some rocker? I'm not going to go hang out with a bunch of old people and just sit around and whittle away and waste away. I'm not doing that. What do you want me to do? Well, you know, I look back at it. My mom, we were both speaking the truth. I wasn't trying to get my mama to do that. I tried to tell her, Mama, it's just simple arithmetic here. You're going to see, unless something happens here, you're going to meet Jesus before me. I'm just saying, have your house in order. I just want you, because I wanted my mother to have more joy about Jesus, you know, and all that. So, and she did. She really was in a good place when she passed. But I look back now, my mama was trying to impress upon me, Ricky, don't get old. It's your perspective. You know, so my mama, you know, man, she was such a role model for me. So last month, I turned 60 years old. 60. So I'm going to ask a question here today. Now, I need you to be honest. It didn't hurt. Listen, this is not for me, okay? Myra, you be honest. Rocky, crew, be honest. Young people. Am I old? Am I kind of getting there? No. Come on, Emily. Emily, you're 16. Ramon, how old are you? 15? Am I old? Yeah. Okay. What do y'all think? Yeah. See, we got some honest people here. When I was about 16, Carrie, am I old? No comment. Front row here? No. Oh my. Bree, you know I'm old, don't you? She thought you were 50. Listen, when I was young, you would have said 60, I would have thought, well, it's kind of getting up there. You know, because I'm like 15, 16, 20, 25, 30. But when you're on the front row sitting here in the 80s, they're like, no, you're just a kid.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Wherever we're at. Okay. It's your perspective. Your perspective. And that's what my mama was trying to live and tell me back in the day. But I tell you what, God wants you to understand your perspective is extremely important. And I'm here to tell you that it can kill you. And there were people in the Old Testament, they were our examples. And I want you to know that your perspective can kill dreams or it can make them a reality. You know, I have literally met, this is always shocking to me, I meet 20-year-olds, 20-something, they usually fall, say, 26 to 30. 26, you might be watching this. I have had this happen more than a handful of times. And they will say stuff like this: I've just kind of wasted my life. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. With all respect, if you have me watching this and you're about 28 or 32, and you're sitting there going, I've wasted my life. I'm not laughing at you, baby. You've not, okay, maybe you've made some poor decisions, and you can make better decisions, yes. But you got a lot of time left, okay? The enemy is trying to put a perspective in there that you've wasted your life, it's over, it's never going to get better, there's giants in my life, it's never, these people are over there, and this happened there, and this happened over there, and it's all, it's just helpless. That's the kind of perspective that'll